Joining us from Dallas is former House Majority Leader Dick Armey. Some might call him the patriarch of the Tea Party. The Texas Republicans' Freedom Works organization has been very much involved in the movement. Welcome back, Leader Armey.
Nice to be back with you.
Well, the government's $14.3 trillion debt limit will be reached either this month or next, forcing Congress to either raise the debt ceiling or risk the country defaulting on its obligations. In your view, are we headed for default, and who's to blame if default occurs?
Well, quite frankly, the United States government is getting to be a bit of a financial basket case. And I think the new members in particular and the conservative members in general have got to draw a line in the sand. We passed the balanced budget amendment, show a resolve that we're not going to go on, then come back and ask about raising the debt limit. The urgency and the emergency of this is oftentimes exaggerated. The fact of the matter, this is a perfect time for this government to do the right thing, do a balanced budget amendment, put a limit on government spending, demonstrate a resolve to America, then let's talk about raising the debt ceiling.
Now, House Budget Chairman Paul Ryan released his budget plan to trim $4.4 trillion over 10 years while making reforms to Medicare and Medicaid. Does Ryan's plan do enough to cut spending, and do you support his entitlement reform proposal?
Well, by Washington standards, by congressional standards, it's a pretty bold initiative, and we applaud Paul Ryan. It's not enough. We've got to do more, but let's get a start going. He did manage to get a pretty good vote for his budget. It's now a matter of getting the Democrats to step up to the plate. So I think at this point, we need to support the Ryan effort and demand that the Democrats get on board.
Now, when former President Clinton lost Congress when you became House Majority Leader, we saw President Clinton triangulate toward the center and work with Republicans to a degree. Do you see President Obama doing the same on the issue of debt and spending, or is his talk about getting serious about the debt and spending nothing more than rhetoric?
Well, it's very hard for President Obama to do that. First, he doesn't have the skill that President Clinton had. Secondly, he's such a hard-drawn, ideological, romantic, egalitarian. He's comfortable if you watch him with this class warfare talk, income redistribution talk. But when it comes to the really hard work of getting a budget resolved, he really doesn't know how to get involved with the process, having never done it before.
Do you see any solutions on this front becoming a reality anytime soon?
Well, quite frankly, I think the solution is for the conservatives in Congress to continue to keep the pressure on the liberals. They're confused. They're not that bright in the first place. But sooner or later, they know they've got to come to some kind of a reconciliation. And the good news is America is alarmed. America is insistent. America has this gigantic grassroots movement called the Tea Party movement that's making the demands on Congress. So I really think we can compel the Democrats to move in this direction if we stay with a certain uncompromising resolve to move forward with Ryan's effort.
Now, Obamacare is poised to be a big drain on the budget and spending. Should Justice Elena Kagan have recused herself from a recent case about whether to fast-track Virginia's health care case to the Supreme Court?
Well, you just have got to get this thing to the courts, and it's got to be resolved. It is such a trespass against the history of our American governance, our American culture, our Constitution. We've got to get this thing resolved in the courts. The fact of the matter is, even if we could resolve all the other financial dilemmas that face the country, this monstrosity could still bankrupt the nation, and in the most unconstitutional manner. So
should Elena Kagan have recused herself or no?
It's hard for me to tell. That's a question of, I suppose, of what one thinks their personal history has been. My own view is it would be nice if she recused herself, period.
Okay. Leader Armey, Americans who are struggling through this dismal economy, they're now being forced to pay even more for food and gas. Are President Obama's oil policies going to end up pushing Americans over the edge? And do you think that voters will make the president pay in 2012?
Well, the first thing you have to understand is President Obama doesn't have a policy. He only has rhetoric. He has all the Greenpeace notions of how to limit the supply of energy in America. but no real practical idea of how, in fact, you replace that limitation of fossil fuel supplies, natural gas, coal, which is such a great abundance in this country. The man is really quite confused and very, very poorly uneducated and ill-informed on this whole subject matter. So I find it somewhat misleading to refer to Obama's policy. I don't see him explicating anything in any manner that it could be acted upon by Congress.
What do you think the solution is to bring oil prices down?
Well, obviously, the solution is a comprehensive energy policy that manages to use all the resources available to us. You can drill safely. You can refine oil, get rid of this goofiness called ethanol, and get focused on the real productive resources. There is a massive restructuring that has to take place after 20 years of the folly of environmental hypochondria. And let's get realistic about using our resources with the technology available to us. Again, it takes greater imagination, courage, and creativity, and a lot less political malarkey than what we've been putting up with.
Okay, well, let's talk about 2012. Reverend Franklin Graham says that he doesn't see his friend, former Alaska Governor Sarah Palin, making a presidential bid after all. Do you believe that to be the case as well?
No, I have for some time expected that she will not run for the presidency. I do think we have to look to the governors. I was very sorry to see Haley Barbour bow out, but maybe this gives us a chance to get Mitch Daniels in the race. I think Mitch Daniels would be the perfect pick for us. He's exactly the man with the proven record that we're looking for. He has no need for sensation, but he knows how to get focus on the work and get it done.
Would you be supportive of a Michelle Bachmann candidacy?
Well, Michelle has got to dig in. She's doing very well. She's got a great standing with a lot of people, and she's shown the ability to be, one, creative and two, courageous. I'd like to see her mature that a little bit, develop it, and get it refined. But yes, I think she's got a chance to stand out there. But once again, the experience of the governors that have really grappled with budgets and dealt with them, I think right now is what we're looking for.
Okay. Well, we saw the tremendous influence that the Tea Party had in the midterms. Is there a Tea Party strategy in place for 2012? And what role do you see the movement, along with Freedom Works, having in the next election?
Well, we're busier than ever. First of all, we're working now on the legislative process at both the state and the national level, working hand in hand with our heroes in the legislative bodies. We are searching for the right candidates for the next election cycle, and we will back them. We will make big changes in the next election cycle, bigger, in fact, than we did this cycle, because we'll take the Senate, we'll take the White House, and we'll once again remove those timid, middle-of-the-road Republicans that don't quite get the resolve to get in tough love with the budget, and we'll replace them with people that really have a constitutional small government commitment. So this is going to be a busy time for us, and we're going to get the job done.
All right, former House Majority Leader Dick Armey, thanks so much for being here. It's always great to have you on Newsmax TV.
Thanks so much for having me.